Thing that I want to say today, get well, Big Al. Good evening and welcome to the Speedway Tavern.
Good evening.
We have with us tonight, as per normal, Chris. I'm head of GA Browne.
Good evening.
And we have got Matt Buck. Rhymes with Buck.
Good morning. Good morning. Good evening. I say good morning.
Good morning. And myself, Michael Harris, not happy being underneath you in the...
Beg your pardon?
Pardon? It's not that kind of show.
It's going to be that sort of
It's
show.
not that kind of show, no.
Okay. Some of you will know the news. Alan Graham was involved in an accident, sidecar accident, I understand, and is in hospital with head injuries. I haven't seen any updates on any of that, but just get well soon.
Yeah, get well soon, Al.
Right, well, where shall we start? I suppose where we should start is tell everybody how they can contribute.
Well, you can contribute by searching for UK Speedway Tavern. We're on all good Facebook groups and pages. And please participate in the vote tonight, which is Laguta or Schmarschlik for the world title. So far, it's at 50% Laguta. Oh, 50-50 at the moment.
Yeah, obviously it would be, wouldn't it?
I know somebody might say tie.
There is a third option, obviously, a tie, which of course is a runoff.
So somebody's still going to win it. So.
Yeah. There you go.
So it's probably two people have voted.
Yeah.
One of them's me.
I think we should start tonight then with Newcastle. Let's have some good news.
Yeah,
before we...
positive news.
Yeah.
Didn't see it coming, to be honest.
No.
It looks like obviously a lot of soul searching was done there following that match against Birmingham. It was good to see a lot of Newcastle fans down at Perry Bar on Wednesday, and thankfully for them, of course, they've got the news that they wanted, and that Newcastle will run in 2022. I would assume Rob Grant has probably got new backers.
I think he said something about there was somebody that coming on board with him, didn't they? So I wonder who that is.
We'll have to wait and see, won't we? So, but the good news is that Speedway will continue in up in the northeast, at least for another year. Of course, hopefully, and hopefully positive as well. And I think the good thing as well is it's going to be sorted out. It's been sorted out fairly quickly as well. So, because Newcastle were really left in a position last season that I think they declared their intent to run only quite late, didn't they? So, majority of all the other odds had gone, and they were sort of left with what was they could get available, unfortunately. And as we've seen this season, it's been a disastrous season for Newcastle. And hopefully next season they can be of a better side and a better season, because I think the crowd. I mean, you were at Brough Park on that last night.
Yeah.
And
the crowd was very big. It was a massive crowd.
Yeah, that shows that there's still a demand for Speedway up there in the northeast. So hopefully, good things to follow for them.
Hopefully, I mean, we're hoping for a big crowd at Birmingham tomorrow as well, just to show potential buyers that it's worth taking on. But we'll probably get to that at some point. We need to talk about. I'm going to watch your face go green now. I need to talk about Wolves versus Peterborough.
Do not say my face is going to go green.
Green and white.
You could say pink. I wouldn't mind that. Preferable to green. So.
Actually, before we do that, we've got a few comments on the shout box. So shall we
I'll
dive in?
quickly say hello to Duncan, Alan, Craig, Simon, Brian, and Dylan, and Ray, and Craig. I've said him twice. Evening, chaps. Please don't mention Wolves last night. Still so frustrated with that result. Can we discuss something far less frustrating instead, like petrol?
No, we are going to talk about that, I'm afraid.
Oh, have we got to?
Oh, that's interesting. Jeff Daniels, what Jeff Daniels has got to say.
Oh, about Swindon. Good news about Swindon starting work on refurbishment of the stadium, along with Oxford and maybe Bradford starting, and Newcastle being saved. Just need Birmingham to be saved now. Hopefully, watch this space.
Yeah, I'm not convinced about Bradford, to be honest, but Oxford obviously is pretty much a done deal that they're going to be running next year. Just got to wait and see what league they're in.
Good news about Swindon.
Yeah, it's been long overdue, isn't it? And we'll see now. It seems a strange time of the year to be starting work when the rain started coming. You've had a whole summer of perfect weather to do it, but I suppose better late than never. And now, hopefully, I think certainly the rest of the promoters in the Premiership are going to be desperate for Swindon to be running next year, because really another season of a 6-team league, not workable.
Well, of course we say that, and we're talking about which league Oxford might join. We don't know what leagues there will be. Is the other, as we was discussing last week. Duncan Pemberton says, "Don't write Wolves off."
No, very true.
That's not what you said earlier. What's Craig got to say?
Do we think Swindon will be ready in time? I think that means.
Yeah.
We all know what happened at Bellevue when the track was being rushed at NSS after the construction, and it was a bit of a shambles. Doesn't seem like there's much time.
Now the difference is the track's there, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
That's the difference. The track's already there, so it's haven't got to lay a new track.
I presume they've been doing bits of work on the track during the year, of course. It's not like last year, of course, when people couldn't get onto tracks because of lockdown. So,
Anthony Bailey says it's far from over for Wolves. Matt Pedersen will drop into reserve, and then probably get loads and loads and loads.
He didn't ride too badly, actually, to be fair, Bjarne Pedersen. He was a bit, he didn't do so well the last time he came to Monmore Green, but...
Hans Andersen seems to have found his mojo again.
Shame he didn't find it to get off the track in 8:14, to be honest. But
I wonder when that was going to come.
I have to say, it was a brilliant atmosphere last night. I don't know how it came across on the telly. The atmosphere was superb. Hawkey, as he's always finds a way of getting the crowd going. But I think ultimately it was probably the fair result on the day. Peterborough just about had enough to keep us at arm's length. We didn't start particularly well. I think the track caught us out in the early. Obviously when we were on the way over there at about 6:30 and the heavens opened again, I think they'd been doing a lot of work to try and get the track right, and then that sort of scuppered that a little bit. But ultimately, it's the same for both teams, and Peterborough adapted to the track much better than Wolves did.
Well, they got out of the gate. I think that was the trick.
Yeah, Rory Sloan was really the pick of the Wolves riders. I think he was superb. But ultimately all that hard work, and then the last 8 he goes and touches the tapes. Brock Nichol, I thought, rode well last night as well. He hasn't been in the greatest of form, but he scored 8 points. But I just think, for me, too many of the Wolves riders just didn't show up last night, unfortunately. And I think for Peterborough, Sir Hans Andersen, well, he was always going to get a big score at reserve. Bomber again. It seems a strange thing to say, because Bomber scored more points this time than he did last time, but I don't think he was quite on the same pace that he was when he came for the league meeting. Scott Nichols rode well. That's the best I've seen him ride at Monmore for quite a few years, actually. He scored 12 from his 7 rides. Obviously, Michael Palmtoft having to withdraw through injury. That
helped them.
That helped Peterborough, to be honest.
Yeah.
In fairness, I said this in the league meeting a few weeks ago. I think Rob Lyne again really did pull some really good moves tactically, and completely outwitted Peter Adams in a lot of ways last night. And I think it's disappointing. Peterborough effectively were a 5-man team last night and still won. That's going to be a real frustration, I think, for Peter Adams. I think so. It means we've got to go to Peterborough now and win by 12 points to get through. So,
was anybody surprised that Palm Tree didn't want to ride on that track? just saying. Lots of comments here about Bomber. Dylan Spuddy Hodgett says the realistic thoughts on last night: Rory led by example, apart from heat 15. Which I had a bad feeling would happen. Nick didn't see him himself last night, and Leon struggled a bit on track, although I saw him running round the pits helping the others. Luke didn't look like himself either, and said on the TV coverage he overthinks things sometimes. Brock looked better, but I think Sam was most disappointing last night. you really need your number one to show up, and he didn't really turn up last night bar one race. I think it's a tall order, but let's hope the lads can go down fighting.
Yeah, that was a massive, particularly in the last heat. I think, obviously with Rory touching the tapes, a lot of pressure then on Sam Masters to go out there and deliver in that final heat, and he ran in stone last, to be honest.
Lots of good thoughts for Bomber.
Yeah, as I say, he always does well in the playoffs, doesn't he? Apart from the one season when he was guesting for Wolves and didn't do very well. We won't go there. Sorry, Bomber.
Yeah, Bomber absolutely loves the playoffs. Seems to bring out the best in him. Look at what he did the year he won the league at Poole.
Yeah,
and of course at Coventry when he survived being run over by Lewis Bridger.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody will ever forget that, will
they?
No,
not at all. Certainly not Lewis Bridger. What's Duncan got to say?
Can I say I went to Sheffield last week, first meeting since Melbourne 2015. Apart from Bomber, great ride, can see it on social media. There was no real presentation, and follow my leader on a slick track, and quite frankly boring. And I say that as a lover of the sport, but I'm not motivated to go again for a while. He's not happy.
Well, he's not. And no real presentation? That's I hate it when that happens. I mean, I haven't been to Sheffield for a while, so I can't comment myself. When I've been to Sheffield before, I've not had a bad presentation.
I've only been to Sheffield once, and that was about 12 years ago.
Right,
and it was quite a good presentation that night. I felt, but. It's a shame, really, because Sheffield again, another club with a, if you like, a more forward-thinking and a newer promotion. Really, to me, it's a basic thing. You've got to get the presentation right. I mean, the presentation of the meeting last night, as I say, was excellent, and it culminated in a really, really good atmosphere, like the Monmore Green of old, really. Yeah.
And Dylan Spuddy Hodgett says, I had real bad vibes of the 2019 semi-final against Swindon last night when they did us because of rain. Wish Bomber had shown up like that for us in 2017 meeting.
Yes, so do I, Dylan.
Can I just say we do have a report from last?
We
had some vagrant there, and he gave us a report, and all. Hopefully it should play right now.
So at the end of a long evening here at Monmore Green, and it's very much advantage Peterborough going into next week's second leg down at Alwalton. They win tonight by 2 points, 44-46, and Peterborough with their real strong advantage in terms of experience and being able to put riders in good positions. Hans Anderson down reserve, of course, another good performance by him. And Chris Harris wasn't quite at the level he was a couple of weeks ago here at Monmore, but still rode very, very well, and has really been in superb form in recent weeks and showed that again tonight. Wolverhampton, well, it was a disappointing performance, I think, for Wolves. Too many riders really just seemed to freeze, if I'm being brutally honest. It was a tough meeting with both sides. I think the weather and the track conditions in the early stages caught Wolves out a little bit, but ultimately it's the same for both teams. Once the top service came off, we did see some reasonable racing tonight. It certainly wasn't the best meeting I've seen here at Monmore Green, but there was a great atmosphere. A lot of Peterborough fans travelled down, and I'm sure they'll be very pleased with their advantage. Of course, Wolves have had 2 visits to Peterborough this season, lost both of them by 10, so they're really going to have to do something now if they're going to find themselves in that final in a couple of weeks' time. Of course, it is Bellevue and Sheffield who will contest the other final, and of course that one starts on Thursday. There'll be a full look back on tonight's meeting on tomorrow's Speedway Tavern. I'm sure we'll find plenty of other things to talk about as well, so tune in tomorrow live on Facebook from 8 p.m.
Can I just say that video took ages to do?
Did it?
It did, yeah. First of all, I thought it'd be a good idea to do it right by the track, and then unfortunately, as I did it, somebody decided to roar the tractor into life, so I had to shout, and then I had to...
Really wasn't your night, was it?
It wasn't my night, no. Then I went and stood further up, and people kept walking past me and asking and talking to me, and it put me off. And then
and I was just about to say how easy it is for people if they want to send in a report like that.
Yeah, as long as you're in the right place, But if anybody else wants to do that, then it's easy enough.
Just send it. Just put it on Messenger and send it to us.
We would particularly, obviously, love somebody to do a report from the Bellevue, Sheffield
Bellevue on Thursday. Yeah.
So if somebody feels like doing that, then
and you know, you could have a special T-shirt for being a presenter, reporter /
thing.
Yeah.
Ian Faultless says, I hope the presenter wasn't too partisan in whipping up the crowd. I'll get it out in a minute.
Don't do that here. I've told you about that.
Yeah, you said. No, I can't repeat what you said.
Is that comment aimed at Mr. Guest by any chance? Or?
Possibly. I still think that there should be a little bit of partisanship.
Yeah, there needs to be honest. I mean,
to make up. And I always remember, I've told this story before, but there might be 2 or 3 listeners that have never heard it. So, when George Gavin was doing the presenting for Birmingham, and it was Birmingham versus Cradley, and he walked onto the centre green, and all the Cradley fans started shouting, "Who are you? Who are you? Who are you?" and all of that. And he turned and he got on the mic and he went, "I've told you before, it's who are you?" and I just thought that was brilliant.
That's a real blast from the past. That is George Gavin. Is he still about George Gavin? I don't think he is now, is it?
Not sure.
I don't know whether he's working. He was at a certain TV company, wasn't he?
He was at BRMB for about 100 years, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, that's why we got him, because we became sponsored by BRMB.
Of course, yes, I remember.
That's why we. But anyway, now I've showed everybody how old I am.
Yeah. No, they've only got to look at you to see how old you are.
He's so nice.
It's just insulting each other tonight, isn't it? So.
Okay, so let's move on to the Sheffield Bellevue match. That's going to be tasty, isn't it?
I have to say, I'm not overly happy with the way that they've arranged these playoffs, to be honest. I didn't mention this to you before that, to be honest.
You predicted this.
I did predict it, but not to be done like this, to be honest. I mean, the idea apparently was that teams would know who were going to pick each other after the maintenance had all finished. Peterborough still had one more meeting to go before they hadn't even finished. They hadn't even guaranteed themselves top spot yet. So, it's disappointing that the top 2 teams in the league end up racing each other in the semi-final, because it shouldn't really be. You should be trying to encourage. Wolves and Peterborough have been the best 2 teams over the season. They should be sort of aimed at the idea of those 2 being in the final with somebody else maybe coming in like Sheffield.
But it's always been like that, though, hasn't it? The top one chooses who they want.
Yeah, it has. But it's always been once they know who's finished top. Peterborough at the time was still second in the table. I think it was they were always going to beat Kings Lynn off, in fairness, but that disappoints me, to be honest. And the comments that have been made, really, that Wolves would have picked Peterborough anyway, I'm not having that.
Who do you think they would have picked?
Bellevue.
Really?
I think so.
Not Sheffield, then?
No, I think Bellevue. Bellevue, because of predominantly for the crowd as much as anything else, because Bellevue always bring a load down to Monmore. So, I mean, there was quite a few Peterborough fans made the journey down, but I think Bellevue, particularly the Bellevue fans, have been very, very vocal.
Right, can I just say, you're obviously hurting.
Well, it's not because I would have said that anyway, to be honest.
No, you're obviously hurting me, because I said, right, let's talk about Sheffield versus Bellevue, and all of a sudden we're talking about Wolverhampton and Peterborough again.
I fancy Sheffield to win the other one, to be honest. I'm not just going on the basis of that win that Sheffield had at Peterborough last week.
Mm-hmm. They have done well at Bellevue, haven't they?
Bellevue have been inconsistent. I mean, Sheffield, you could argue to a point Sheffield have been inconsistent as well, but I think Sheffield at the moment will have. They had that great win at Peterborough. They had a big thumping win against Kings Lynn on Sunday. Bellevue, as I say, have been a bit inconsistent. They've it's not all. Sometimes they need all their rods to fire, really, and that's not been the case quite a few times this season, unfortunately for them. So, for me, Sheffield. Not overwhelming favourites. I think warm favourites for that one. Be interesting to see how it goes down, how it goes on Thursday, because both tracks, of course, very similar as well. So
True.
There is
Big wide open.
Yeah,
tracks.
there's no reason why Bellevue can't go to Sheffield and win, then Sheffield then go to Bellevue and win. So I think that's probably the perfect draw for each of those clubs. Of course, it's Lancashire, Yorkshire, and there's a good strong rivalry between those two clubs. It's great to see those two clubs back in the same league again, because that's really how it should be, to be honest. I think.
And do you think it's Peterborough's to lose now the championship? Or do you think that because they're starting to pile injuries up a little bit, aren't they? And that's never.
They haven't got to the final yet, Michael. By the way,
again, that's not what you said to me before we started.
Well, I think Peterborough are very much in the box seat, aren't they? But Sheffield have already proved they can go to Peterborough and win. Bellevue have already won there, of course, as well. So, and those three tracks are very, very similar, aren't they? So. I think Peterborough for me are in the box seat, but I don't think it's a cast iron certainty whichever one of those two teams they face in the final, if they do manage to beat the wounded Wolves.
Could be quite tasty next week.
Could be.
A lot will depend on the weather, and it's a shame.
We really need to.
The weather's
well, we've got to throw caution to the wind now and just go for it. We've got no choice now. We've got nothing to lose. We don't have a particularly good record at Peterborough anyway.
No.
So it's, I think probably at the end of most people I think are probably going to say, well, it's Peterborough through, so the pressure's off a little bit to that extent, and I think Wolves are going to want to make up for the disappointment of losing the first leg on home soil.
And of course Leon Flint does quite well at Peterborough as well, which
he does. I mean, I was talking to somebody before the meeting last night, and we're both concerned that Leon has he's got better at Monmore, but I still don't think he's 100% comfortable with the track, and I think the fact that the track was wet last night didn't help, to be honest.
Well, we've got a few comments and stuff to get through, haven't we? So
we have, yep. Okay, so
let's open this old chestnut. Go on.
Okay, I think Hans staying down last night was the most frustrating thing I've encountered in Speedway for ages. Just because it was so obvious. I know it's part of Speedway, but it's just a bit unsportsmanlike. I think something should be done about it. They tried the thing with the riders, didn't they? Putting them off 15 if it was obvious, but that didn't work. But I'd introduce a fine. As we know, Speedway riders don't make lots of money, so a fine might help to cut it out a bit. Just leaves a sour taste in the mouth when it's blatant, like Hans was last night.
It was blatant last night, to be honest. To be honest, I half suspected he was going to do that anyway, because he looked a bit out of control going out of that first corner. And I think the fact that he did sort of look around to see where the other three riders were and what positions they were before doing anything. So. Yeah, we've seen it before, though, haven't we? How many times over the years have we seen, you're on a 5-1 and a rider goes down and doesn't get up off the track particularly quickly, It causes a bit of controversy.
Happened at Newcastle.
Yeah.
And of course, it never happens in other sports.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Your nose will grow there, Mr. Browne.
Exactly. Surely it's part of the game.
It is frustrating.
It's gamesmanship at the end of the day. So.
It's one of them. It's one of them, isn't it? When it's happening for your side, you're all shouting, "Stay down, stay down, stay down!" And when it's happening for the other side, you're all going, "Get up, get up!"
Yeah, exactly.
So we're as bad as they are, really. Let's be honest about it.
Of course, it's all part of the game. All part of the game.
And I don't know how they could. I don't know what they could do to stop it.
No.
Because the damage is, once the race has stopped, the damage is done.
That's interesting what Jeff's put there. Jeff Daniels, there's a card system in Poland. He would have got a red card for doing that.
That's maybe a good idea.
And what would that have meant?
Yeah,
it's going to be a fine, isn't it?
What does a red card mean? What's that as a penalty? What does it mean?
Miss the next meeting? Or?
Miss the next meeting, miss the next couple of races. I don't know. I don't know how that. I know that they do the card system. I don't know how the full ins and outs of how it works, though.
So, because if it's just that he's out of the race, well, that's what we do anyway, and the damage has been done.
Yeah.
So it is a difficult one. Would you like to there's a little dicky bird that would like to talk us?
I like the way you give me all the long ones.
Oh yes, I love watching you struggle, to be honest.
Okay, at the end of the day, it's only half time. Still 15 each to go.
We're back to Wolverhampton again.
Gates, it was terrible last night. To be fair, plus traffic was perfect for Bomber. Hans and Scott, and with the rain, first 4 races were not going to be any home advantages. My only problem was track was prepared. And as you can tell, it just jumped in. Was prepared perfect before the rain came, but once rain stopped at the first hit, which was 45 minutes, there was not one tractor on track to sort it. Which rain affected the track, which was very poor, or was it riders and manager's choice? I'm sure Bomber goes to number 1 for them, and Pedersen to reserve.
That was frustrating last night, the number of delays, and it seemed it did. As I said in my summing up there, it took ages to get through that meeting, and
it was mentioned on the tally as well that, why is it taking so long?
I mean, it's not so bad when you're watching on the sofa, but when you're there, I think I commented to my dad yesterday that sometimes when you're at a TV meeting, you're effectively a TV extra, aren't you? Except you've paid for the privilege of doing it. So
Berwick beat Kent 48-39 in the NDL.
Yep.
Regards to our poll, it's still very, very much neck and neck. 47%, 47%, and 6% say a tie. But it has gone backwards and forwards. So there you go. Interesting.
Well, we will obviously discuss that a bit later.
Would you like me to read this one?
Oh yes, please. Yeah, go on then. Yeah. Do you want me to make it a bit bigger for you because I know you're a bit old?
I keep telling you, size isn't important.
That's not what I've heard.
It baffles me that Wolves can't seem to ride Peterborough this season, given that Sheffield and Bellevue are quite similar, and they've beaten both of them at their home tracks convincingly. With Leon, Pete Adams said on a BBC WM interview a couple of weeks ago he will get better with more laps at Monmore, and he's hopeful Leon will be in our colours for years to come, which is a good sign, as I rate the lad highly, as do I. I think it will be beneficial for him and Wolves because he'll learn so much from working with Pete and riding a tight track like Wolves for a few seasons.
The Peterborough thing is psychological, I think. There's always that element that Wolves are beaten there before they start, to be honest. Which is frustrating, to be fair.
It is frustrating, yeah. I mean, I think Peterborough is a cracking track.
Yeah, it's a good track. I've been at Peterborough 2 or 3 times, and I've always enjoyed the racing there, to be honest.
Apparently, if red card in Poland means you're banned from the meeting. Problem is, supporters then are suffering. That's a very, very hard.
Or maybe it's a lesson for the next time.
Maybe it'll stop them from doing it, I suppose. But,
yeah.
There's no way ultimately of proving whether a rider has done it on purpose, I suppose, is there? I mean, okay, fair enough, if a rider's come off and his bike's stuck in the fence, there's very little they can do about that, to be honest. But when it's as blatant as it clearly was, and I've got a lot of respect for Hans Andersen as a rider, but it was blatant last night. But there you go. That's the way things go.
Yeah. And as I say, if it had been the other way around, you'd have been going, stay down.
I would have been, I would have actually. So funny you said that.
Another old chestnut. I want to have a crack at this one because I've got a bit of experience about this. Surely track covers need to be made mandatory. Still don't think costs would be that high. Surely it's a bit of plastic. No, it's not.
It's a very big one.
If it's a bit of plastic, it would be too light and it would
blow away.
I've had experience of putting down a track cover because we did it for, I think it's Birmingham versus Newcastle actually, or it might have been.
Was it the TV meeting against Sheffield?
No. It was. It must have been against Poole because it was the grand final when we got to the final. Yeah. I think it doesn't matter anyway. It was a final, and we was trying to get it, make sure the track was dry. It took all of Saturday and half of Sunday for us to get half the track covered, and we couldn't get the full track covered. And then, to be honest, when we pulled the sheets back off, the part of the track that wasn't covered was drier than the part of the track that was covered because it sweats.
Well, I've got the other problem that I've got with the covers. Okay, it might save the meeting, but unfortunately, you tend to find in this day and age, if the weather's bad, you'll get fans who won't come. So it affects the crowd anyway. So you sort of, okay, you're getting the meeting on, to be honest, but you're operating at a loss because you've got a lower attendance. I know Chris Van Stratton isn't at all on board with the idea of using covers on tracks. I know they do them in Poland and Sweden, but
yeah, but they've got access to those tracks 24/7.
Well, that's very true.
And they've got loads of money, you know. Well, there's so much stuff going on tonight. I think last night made it hit home just how much Rory will be missed when he hangs up the goggles. Not just on track, but his leadership is second to none. I do see a door opening up for Jacob to come back next season, if I'm honest. Also good to see Freddie Lindgren put on his Instagram watching the meeting and supporting the Wolves. He's clearly a Wolf through and through. Hopefully we get one more season of him at the Green before he retires in years to come too.
I'd like to think so, but I think it's unlikely at the moment, unfortunately.
How old is he? Well,
Freddie's 36 now, I think.
36.
Yeah, so...
Okay.
Well, that's not old these days, is it?
No.
Well, he's older than me by a couple of years. No, younger than me, actually. So.
Is he?
Yeah, he's actually, yeah.
You've had a hard life.
Yeah.
I know, yeah. I've been going to Wolves since 1990, that's
I
why.
think he's had a hard life. I'm only 26. Anyway.
Yeah, it will be sad to see Rory hang his leathers up at the end of the season, because he's been a good servant to British Speedway, not just at Wolves the last few years, but he's sort of done pretty much every single team's race jacket there is to don, I think. So it's
we've got championship playoffs coming up.
Yep.
I think they start this weekend. From what
I don't think they've.
I think if I may have.
Oh, have they? So someone has done the research there.
Well, yeah.
Ooh.
So you've got Sconthorpe versus Leicester. That's Friday, October the 1st. And the other one, that's you've got Redcar versus Edinburgh on the 3rd. And I can't find the next one, but there are a few there. So it'll come up when we do the.
It will do.
What's it? So, if dog tracks can be covered, why can't speedway tracks be covered? The only time that the dog tracks are covered is they just chuck tarpaulin and tyres on them.
You can't do that with the speedway, can you?
To stop the shale from getting on. It doesn't stop rain from getting on. They don't care about the rain. It's sand. It's uncovered for the rest of the time. It's a whole totally different thing, I'm afraid. I would love to be able to say you can cover them, but I'd love to see Scunny cause an upset. Everyone loves an underdog, but I can't see past a Poole versus Leicester.
They've done well,
final.
to be fair, Sconthorpe, because they've had a few tough years, haven't they? So for them to get into the
don't think anybody rated them much at the beginning of the season. From
well,
what
I think
remember.
what transformed them really was, I mean, it was a harsh decision, I think, to jettison Josh Hawty, because I mean he's a club legend at Sconthorpe. He's been there for so many years, but they brought in. Adam Ellis, of course, and I think he's obviously been a real number one, especially in that division, as Birmingham known over the years, of course.
Absolutely.
So they've done really well. Fair play to them, but I can't see them beating Leicester in that division.
Can't see Wolves beating Peterborough either. Just thought I'd throw that one.
Neither can I, to be honest. But the other one's interesting.
But the reason I say that is because you just never know what's going to happen. Somebody, I'm not going to say gets injured, but somebody falls off and can't take part for the rest of the meeting, or like Palm Toft. Sometimes it works for you. Leicester, it worked for Peterborough.
The other quarterfinal is going to be very interesting, though, isn't it? Edinburgh against Redcar. Now, I wasn't that impressed with. It'll be interesting to see how Edinburgh race tomorrow at Perry Bar.
I actually think we've got a chance of getting 18 points.
Yeah, I wasn't very impressed with Edinburgh when they.
So particularly balancing Grubber rise like he did last week.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from, but it was very welcome.
Yeah, you've probably got to make Redcar favourites for that one, I think. To be honest.
Yeah, I don't want to.
No, we wish them very good luck.
Yeah, of course we do. Of course.
You're going to be practising your Scottish accent, aren't you, for that one?
No. His Welsh accent's coming up. So, okay, should we talk about the GP then?
Why not?
Ooh.
Sorry?
Squeaky bum time, isn't it?
Oh dear.
Never known it as close going into a final. I think 2003 there was about 3 or 4 points between Jason Crump and Nicky Pedersen going into the last GP, but you had Tony Rickards and Lee Adams still in contention as well. But it is, it's been pretty clear from about round 3 or 4 that it was going to be a two horse race.
It makes it, I think, doubly tense, the fact that you've got 2 meetings one straight after the other at the same track.
And even the first one, it won't be decided.
It won't be decided after the first one, but excuse me.
Well, this one rider gets 24 and the other one gets 0. So, which is unlikely, I think, given how things have gone this season.
Well, yeah, you would think so. I mean, you've got to say Schmarzlick's the favourite, given that it's in Poland.
Well, there's that and the experience, but don't rule out Marcin Leguta. Certainly, he's got a lead of a point. He's very, very fast when he gets in front. He's one of these riders that once he gets in front, he's just such a difficult rider to catch. Yeah. As is Schmarzlick, to be fair. It could go either way. That one could. It's just impossible to call. I mean, I don't know what the bookies' odds are. It'd be interesting to have a look and see what the odds are for this one.
I'll have a look.
I'll have a quick look. So, but how's our poll looking, by the way? So
it has gone backwards and forwards, but now it's sort of settled on pretty even.
Yeah,
really.
that says it all, doesn't it?
I don't think nobody can pick a winner.
Yep. But Schmarzlick is the 6-4 on favourite on Marcin Leguta 65. So it's mighty close.
It is close, isn't it? Yeah.
Everybody else is about 500 to 1 because they can't catch him. So,
who gets in the top 6 for next year? I think the 4th, 5th, and 6th are up for grabs really this weekend. I think that's true as well. Of course, Ty Woffenden being in the middle of that battle.
Of course, yeah. Not had the best of seasons as a Ty, unfortunately. So,
right, I want to change because we've just about got time to do it. I want to change what we're talking about. I'm going to go Brummie-centric once again. We haven't really spoke about them, but obviously tomorrow's a massive, massive night.
Yep.
Very possibly the very last time Birmingham rides.
Yep.
Obviously, I hope that's not true. I do think that we can beat Edinburgh by 18 points. I think it'd be very difficult though, but I think it's possible. We beat them by 14 last time they was down, and we didn't have Jack, and also they had a tactical sub which they won't have available to them.
Yep.
But it's sort of secondary, isn't it? Tomorrow's about getting a big crowd down there, and proving to any potential buyers it's worth taking on.
Yeah. And also a chance as well, I think, in a lot of ways to say thank you to David and Peter Mason, because they've had a really tough year this year.
They've had every single year they've had tough years. To be honest, with injuries and all sorts of stuff.
At the same time, I think they have done a lot of very good things for the club. I think they've obviously been very orientated towards bringing younger fans in, which I think has been successful.
And whoever, if that's the right way around of saying it, takes over, I hope that they continue that.
Yeah, they need to be honest. They need to. But, all being well, hopefully things will be solved. As I say, I think the Masons will go with everyone's good wishes, because they've at the end of the day they obviously took the club back into professional speed, which was the right thing to do at the time. I don't think there's any. I know that was obviously going to be a bigger cost by moving up, but I think staying in the National League would have been a massive mistake. To be honest, I think they probably did the right thing staying in the National League for that first season, but then moving up.
Yeah, I think they needed to work out what they're doing basically.
Then again, of course, they weren't to know that within a year of moving up, we'd have COVID.
So who did? Can we just move that down a little bit? So this is from Dylan Spuddy Hodgetts. Really hope tomorrow's not the last time the Brummies take to the track. There was so much hype. It's gone. There was so much hype around the team when it was formed. I'm not sure that there was hype, but there was quiet confidence.
Yeah.
Especially with the signings of Bomber and Eric. Shame to see so many knocks have derailed the Masons' plans. It'd be a crying shame to lose the Brummies again, but there feels less a sense of optimism around the save the Brummies than there was for Newcastle.
I'm not so sure about that, to be honest.
No. I think a lot of what, as a Brummie fan, a lot of people are a little bit sort of jaded because it's not the first time this has happened to us, and it's
it just seems really difficult that the clubs seem to go into this sort of spiral every 4 or 5 years of this continuous battle for survival. But it's not just Birmingham, of course. But I suppose it's more significant in the fact that it's in the second city in the country.
Yeah,
it's from the outside looking in, it seems to be struggling to make it pay.
Anthony says, "Are we optimistic? Do we know who could be interested?"
Nope.
No, but we are optimistic.
Yeah. I've cautiously optimistic. I think about Birmingham's chances of seeing Speedway in 2022.
I am as well.
Yeah.
I don't feel doom and gloom at the moment.
No.
Give me another 3 weeks and I'm.
well, it's going to be, when is the AGM? Because it's
6 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, I think because obviously then there's got to be a statement before then to show whether there's an intention to run. So
the one thing I should point out is that although this station and this programme started life as basically a podcast about Birmingham Speedway, that's how we started, and then it started getting wider and wider and wider, does not mean that if Birmingham folds next year, that we won't continue. We will continue. And I will still take the piss out of Wolverhampton.
It's always been the plan. It's always been the plan to be, a UK Speedway show.
We will still be here.
Of course we will.
That I'm very optimistic about.
Yep.
We'll find somebody to laugh about.
It'll be you.
Probably.
So, I guess we're coming up to that time where we need to do the league table. So I don't want to. I'm going to go out while we do this.
Look at those tables. Ooh, where's my carriage? Can't see. Oh, there he is at number 8. Below number 7, who happens to be Chris Browne.
Well, you are level, just to be pedantic, sir.
Shut up.
He's been waiting for weeks.
Is it just alphabetical? Is that all?
It is alphabetical.
Oh, for God's sake! Pretty good though. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, last night's meeting was a real coupon buster, wasn't it? Because nobody got it right.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty happy with that. That'll do.
Coupon buster. I love it.
I suppose I better
showing your age.
I know. Yeah.
So, do I need to get up the fixtures?
Yes, please.
Okay.
We'll zip through those.
There's not that many, I don't think.
No, there won't be now. It's mostly playoffs, isn't it?
Yeah.
And of course, we will do the GPs as well. Yep. As one result, we'll have that as we'll pick who we think is going to win.
Do you get extra points if you pick the winner? Because we did that for the British final,
yes.
didn't we? So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly the same.
So we'll go 4 points if you pick the winner.
Yeah, 4 points if you pick the winner of the GP.
There we go.
You've got a 50-50 chance anyway.
Right, okay. So upcoming fixtures. There we go, Mike.
Okay. Oh God, there's not many, is there?
No.
We'll rattle through all of them then. Tomorrow, Birmingham versus Edinburgh, knockout cup. Matt, over to you.
I will go Birmingham by 12.
I'll go Birmingham by 10.
I'm obviously going to go Birmingham by 18.
Yeah.
I'm obviously going to do that.
What tempted to go Birmingham by 16? Well, 18. It is 18 points.
18, yeah. And then it'll be a run-off. That would be special, wouldn't it? Okay, Poole versus Leicester in the Knockout Cup. That's to you, Chris.
I'll go Leicester by 6.
Okay. They'll love you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Poole by 6.
I'm going to say Poole by 4.
Okay. Sheffield versus Bellevue, and that's playoff semi-final. Sheffield by 6.
Sheffield by 10.
I'll go Sheffield by 10 as well.
Edinburgh versus Sconthorpe versus Leicester, and that's a championship playoff quarter-final. That's down to me, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh dear. I'm going to say Sconthorpe by 2.
Draw.
Ooh.
I'll go Leicester by 4.
Okay. Edinburgh versus Redcar. And that's another championship playoff quarter final. Matt?
Redcar by 2.
Redcar by 6.
Edinburgh by 40. No.
Redcar are the new Cranley, aren't they, in your own?
Draw.
Yep.
Draw.
I had a feeling you might say that, to be honest.
Leicester versus Scunthorpe.
Who's it to me?
To
Is
you,
it?
yeah.
I'll go Leicester by 4.
I'm going to say Leicester by 10.
Yeah, I'm going to say Leicester by 10 as well. So that will put Leicester into the semi-final.
Mm-hmm. Redcar versus Edinburgh. Edinburgh by 10. No, I mean Redcar by 10, sorry. I just didn't want to say it, obviously.
Redcar by 6. I'll go for.
I'll go Redcar by 4.
Peterborough versus Wolverhampton.
Oh, for goodness sake.
No, it's down to me first. I'm going to make you smile. I'm going to say Wolverhampton by 4.
Well, it won't make me smile because it wouldn't be enough, would it? So,
No, it wouldn't. But
oh, it would be. No, it would be. Actually, no, it would be, wouldn't it? So, because there's only 2 points behind.
Oh, is it 2 points in the end? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. I did it for Birmingham, so I felt like I had to do it. Come on,
Oh dear.
get off the fence. This is the heart versus the brain going on here. That's what's happening.
Come
At
on.
the risk of making myself look absolutely stupid, which I know I'm going to do anyway.
Yeah, you will.
I'm going to go Wolves by 4 as well.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go Peterborough by... Yeah,
What's going on with that
6.
mouth?
6.
That could just have lost me my chance at
Yeah.
6th place. That could,
Yeah.
couldn't it?
Yeah.
Kent versus Leicester in the NDL.
This is the last one.
Is it because you've got Bellevue versus Sheffield coming as well? Would that be next?
That'll be next Wednesday. won't
Next
it?
Wednesday. So we'll do that the week after.
Do that the week after, yeah.
There'll be
So-
No,
one.
that's West Thursday actually, the 7th. So
There'll be one. There'll be one match.
yeah.
Well, there won't because there'll be some semi-finals
Well,
and stuff.
double. We can have some double
So
points.
Kent versus Leicester. I'm going to say Kent by 6.
I'm going to say Kent by 10.
I'm going to go in the middle. Kent by 8.
There you go.
And last but no means least,
Schmarzlik.
Lagosa I'll go for.
I'll go for the one I can pronounce the best.
It's as good a way of doing it as
Laguta.
any.
Is it?
Laguta. Okay, so,
Laguta.
so Speedway Tavern predicts Laguta.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
Wonder what that was then. So.
Hadn't it? I thought somebody had come in.
I thought somebody else come in then.
Wow.
I'm sure you to another one of those dodgy channels again.
Somebody's just seen Mike.
Have we? Have we? Oh, wow. Have we got any more comments on the?
Oh, crikey, yeah, I bet we have. I bet they're all to do with, scores. There we go. Quite a few. It goes right the way back, so there's quite a lot. Lots of people had to go this week. Oh yeah.
Can we send all our best wishes to Alan Graham, who had a very nasty accident
We did
in the
mention this,
sidecar
didn't
the
we?
weekend.
Yeah.
We actually we led with that.
We led with that. Yeah. So look, there's quite a lot of goes on here. Yeah, fantastic.
Woffington to win the GP. And Laguta to win the world title.
I've got to be honest, I can't see Ty winning the meeting, to be honest. I just don't think he's quick enough.
It'll be the first year since, apart from the first year that he did it, then he hasn't won GP,
Yeah,
it?
that's right. No, did he win one last year? I'm trying to remember now. I don't think he did, actually.
Did he not? Okay, no, I think you're right.
Our poll has swung slightly in favour of Laguta.
It's just because they can't spell Schmarzlik, it's the same issue. And I think the 9% that have voted for Ty, I think we're talking about Ty Woffington.
So he's going to make a miraculous recovery. But we could end up in a situation where they are tied and have a run-off.
That would be something else, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Never happened before, so...
I have to say, last week... Particularly, we've been quite doom and gloom about Speedway, but
and I still think there's a lot that needs to be done as well.
Absolutely, there does. But the product is great. This year, some of the racing that we've seen everywhere, both leagues, some of the surprise results that we've seen, like Peterborough beating Wolverhampton. And then what was it? Who was it that went to Peterborough last week and beat them?
Sheffield,
which is why they didn't choose Sheffield, of course.
That's it. We all know the product's there. It's somebody
if it was organised better,
organise
the product,
it's the way it does things.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said last week, we all know what needs doing.
Do it. Yes, and when you do things, explain why you've done them. Don't just wait.
Perception is the law. Yeah.
Number of times that you find out from second hand that they've changed the rules and they've not made any official announcement about it.
And once you've sorted the rules out for the season, don't change them halfway through.
Make them simple. Get it so it's on 4 or 5 sheets of paper, not on a Bible that's about that thick, which is what the current Speedo rule book looks like.
Yeah. Have you actually seen it?
I have seen
a copy of it.
Yes, I tried reading it, and I got to about halfway through the first page, and I thought,
I'm going to read Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. It's shorter. Somebody help me carry it.
Yeah.
It's a good job Speedway bikes don't run on petrol, or we'd have no hope.
Unfortunately, the vans and that they use to transport the bikes do on diesel mostly. But
Simon Corbett has just reminded me. Did anybody say that right from Dan Bewley in the Polish League over the weekend?
No.
It was astonishing. It was. If you've ever seen Tony Rickardson's Wall of Death at Cardiff, it was. I would argue it was probably better than that, to be honest, because it seemed to be the whole race that he was doing it. So, just really, really wide line.
Right.
I mean, the Ricardson one was fantastic because it was on a really difficult track at Cardiff, and it was obviously to win a GP and a win that pretty much put him over the line in terms of winning the World Championship. So, but if you get the chance to see it, have a look at it. It was astonishing.
I'll have a look at it later.
He's not looked quick this season, granted, but I think he needs to win a GP really to 100% secure spot for next season. Is that Ty?
Yeah, but I would imagine he will get a pick anyway, even if he doesn't miss out, to be honest.
Multiple world champion.
Yeah,
I would have thought so.
Interesting one's going to be Jason Doyle, isn't he? Because he's obviously at the top 6 at the moment. Hasn't had a great season again. Never really been able to hit the heights since he won that championship.
He had two brilliant years. He should have been champion twice, really.
Yeah.
But obviously that injury took him out. But
you always wondered with Jason Doyle whether he was going to be one of those riders who would get to the top and struggle to sort of get to that again. A bit like Chris Holder did, to be honest. Although I think Chris Holder's obviously was predominantly down to the injury, and I think the loss. I think what happened with his mate Darcy Ward, of course. Obviously, I think
they went through a lot of stuff over 2 or 3 years, didn't they?
Yeah, he did.
But well, I guess it's come to that time of the night. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. We'll read that one. Why not? Waffy will get a pick regardless, although I think he's a guy who likes to earn his opportunities. So if he were to miss out on merit, I think it will leave a bit of a sour taste in his mouth. I don't think he'd like it.
No, I don't think he would, to be honest. He's a proud man, so.
And also, just before we go, can I just tell people this will be available as a podcast? It'll be on all the major formats, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Was a load
and we should remind people as well, if they want to join in with the league table, the predictions.
Yeah, a bit of fun.
Yes,
bit of fun.
A bit of fun.
We could next season probably have a elite and Premier next year.
Promotion and relegation.
Yeah, that's really good. Not a bad idea, actually. It could be a bit of fun, couldn't it? Could be a bit of fun.
I think next year we'll predict the GP winner at the beginning of the season, and we'll make it worth something like 10 points. Because you're predicting it, because if you get it right, if you get the Jeep at the end, I think that would be cool. That would be quite interesting.
Well, I don't think if we did it this year, I don't think many people would have been getting 10 points for picking Lagusa, would they?
No.
And our poll seems to be 50% going for Laguta, 41% Schmarschlik, and a tie, 9%.
So our poll's not going for the poll. Okay.
Okay. And I think people can still vote on this when it's finished as well.
Use Facebook. I think you want them to.
Yes. It's put your scores on. Yeah.
I've just seen Dylan's comment there.
Well, I have to read it out now so everybody knows what we're laughing at. You can tell Mike is mid-table this year, wanting 10 points too. Bloody right. I'm taking a... No, I'm not going to mention red card again. Right. See you all next week. Hope you have a great time.
Stay dry.
Stay dry. I hope your team does everything that you want it to.
Don't run out of petrol as well.
And if you're out there and you've got deep pockets and lots of money, come on by Birmingham. See you soon. And everybody get down there tomorrow.
Good night.